Hi.
Hello, James.
Hello. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Hi.
Very good.
All right, good. Yeah, good. Yeah, I've known Adrian for how many years now? About 2 years. So, yeah, Adrian is a good friend of mine, and he's helped me out many times. And I just want to thank you, Adrian, for giving me the opportunity to be on your show. I'm going to give you a little introduction about myself. I am what you would call a super soldier. I'm the guy that goes in and cleans up. Basically, if like somebody finds out information about UFOs and extraterrestrials, I'm the guy that goes in and exterminates them. But before I even explain how, well, I'm going to explain a little bit on how I got involved and all that. But I want to talk about what it is.
I have a quick question for you, James.
Sure.
You say that you go in there and you clean it up. Is it similar to like the Men in Black?
No, the Men in Black, they're more like they're more like I think they're grays or artificial life forms. They're shapeshifters. They harass and intimidate. I'm the guy that basically I'm wearing like the Delta Force and Naval SEALs, but like I'm the more advanced form of all that. Like where they I'll talk about that a little bit. So, but
okay. Well,
let's begin at the basics here. So the Super Soldier program is also known as the Universal Soldier Project. It basically began as an offshoot of Nazi experiments during World War II in the concentration camp, which was later umbrellaed into Project Paperclip. Project Paperclip was after World War II. The Nazi mind scientists were invited to the United States to continue on with their research. The CIA was highly interested in learning Nazi brainwashing techniques to use on the Russians and whoever for intelligence purposes. So these Nazi mind scientists were brought to the United States. They were given an unlimited budget, okay? And they were told to basically take their research as far as they could possibly take it. That became Project MKUltra. And MKUltra was basically a project back in the 1950s and 1960s. There's about 150 sub-projects within MKUltra. They are studying like hypnosis, drugs, LSD. That's your basic, like your Manchurian Candidate mind control stuff. But later on, it was expanded into Project Monarch, which is like a total mind control slate. And then eventually after that became Project Montauk, which is time travel. And then Project Surrogate, which I'm going to talk about as well. That involves human cloning and the super soldiers. But basically, the Nazi scientists, they were highly interested in creating like a Superman, like a superhuman being that would rule the masses. But they were also they were studying how to bring back people from the dead, how to reanimate dead soldiers. So a lot of that eventually led into human cloning. But the whole idea was to create a perfect soldier who would act on any command without questioning their orders. So what they basically did is they create alternate personalities using trauma-based mind control programming, which basically is like what they do is they stick like a needle in your ear or genitalia. And what it does, it fractures the mind, the psyche, so bad. It's like the most severe form of PTSD you can possibly get. It's so traumatic that your mind just can't deal with it, so it puts it into an altar. So, do you understand me so far?
We're with you.
All right. So, basically, the Hollywood movies kind of dramatize this with the Manchurian Candidate, where the guy got triggered and he goes around and kills whoever. But the thing is, the difference between a Manchurian Candidate and a super soldier is that Manchurian Candidates are like sacrificial lambs. They're basically told, at the end of the day, they can be killed. They're not important. But super soldiers are used over and over. Okay. So around 1950, a small group of genetically superior soldiers were chosen for this sub-project, the Universal Soldier Program. So this one began around 1950. These prototype super soldiers, also known as the pre-generation, they're from the Vietnam and the Korean War era. They were highly interested in implants, psychotropic drugs and creating alternate personalities that could be activated for code work. But that was the beginning. That's what Hollywood dramatized, but it went way beyond that. I'm going to explain that. Later on, they advanced it so that instead of it just being a code word, you could activate it with an ultrasonic frequency. And once they're activated, they would go off an assassination mission, and then afterward they would be switched back so they wouldn't even remember it. I don't know if you remember anything about Saran, but apparently he doesn't even remember. I think he killed Jack Kennedy, whoever he killed.
Yeah.
So so they have there's walls, so they don't even realize what they're doing. And so that is what's going on in my life, but it's gone to the much more extreme. Initially, it was only people who were only in the military that were experimented on first, but then that was expanded under Project Talent. Project Talent is the recruiting arm of the CIA and the NSA, and what they basically do, they look for psychics and alien starseeds who can be turned into robotic killing machines, such as psychic assassination, military abductions, or they could be used for remote viewing, astral projection, time travel. So that was around the 1960s in Project Talent. And Project Talent is still going on today. And it's kind of funny that when I was a kid, I was actually in the Duke Talent Identification Program. So I don't know if those two are related, but one of the ways they actually find these children, these super psychics, is through testing, school testing. If you answer questions a certain way on a test, they find you. Or all babies that are born in this country have a DNA sample taken and sent to the NSA headquarters where they keep a database on everyone. So, we're all being tagged and we're all being measured for our usefulness to the intelligence agencies, even at a young age. So there are basically two categories of super soldiers. I already said the ones in the military, but on the civilian side, they also recruit people, like I said, who have never been in the military. These individuals can have all the proper paperwork. They can actually go onto a Navy base or an Air Force base, wear a uniform, and have all the proper paperwork, but they never signed up or never were recruited into the military. So, this is totally being done against their will, and that happened to me. In 2006, I was actually recruited for reconnaissance work. I'll explain a little bit about that in a moment. And what they actually did is they forged my signature. So they're pretty ruthless, and they can just do whatever they want, and it's got to stop. But that's one of the reasons why I'm here tonight, is trying to get the word out here. So basically, super soldiers are primarily used for assassinations, military abductions, which are abducting other people who are the psychics and starseeds. Espionage, distraction, and hostile nations where the Navy SEALs can't go into, or remote viewing, off-world operations, time travel, deep underground facilities, which are underground bases, false flag operations, which I've supposedly done a lot of them, stealing information, industrial espionage, special ops, search and rescue. So that's all, that's basically pretty much everything in a nutshell there, the super soldiers. But going on, some of the DNA of these first-generation super soldiers was frozen around 1970, and basically what they've been doing is every few years they take this DNA out and they create a new batch of hybrid super soldiers. It's like a breeding project. And I came from that stock of DNA. I was born around 1980, so I'm actually I was born as a third-generation super soldier. But what they did is they take these children that were genetically enhanced and engineered, and they insert them into surrogate families. And that's what Project Surrogate comes in. My father is supposedly a Pleiadian reptilian hybrid, and I have no idea. I guess my mother. I don't know. They've tinkered with me so much. There's no way to tell who my family really is. But I really don't feel like my father is my biological father. So, but and that's really the case for a lot of us. So, and the reason why they give us surrogate families is because they find that the people who super soldiers that were trained in the underground base, like kept in underground bases all the time, were not as good as soldiers as if they were given a loving family. So I guess, that does make a lot of sense. So around 1970, the second generation super soldiers hit the scene, and they were enhanced with new technologies such as more muscular and tissue enhancements, and they were given more powerful steroids and even some bio-cybernetic enhancements, such as wires running down their arms so they could punch faster and harder. James Casbolt actually mentions that when he's doing martial arts, that he can sometimes he can hit so fast that you can't even see the arm move. So but this is 1970s technology, okay? Then around the late 70s, early 80s, the third generation hit the scene. I was part of this group. We were given even more enhancements and surgical procedures. For instance, they give you generally when you think of an implant, you think of a tracking device. But what they actually were able to do is they created implants that could remote control you through frequencies by switching on an alter. So then the third generation came on the scene, and they're basically obsolete now. And basically what happens is once you reach a certain age, the memories start flooding through. The way they basically brainwash you to hide all the memories is they switch everything around from our brain has long-term and short-term memory. So what they do is they switch that mechanism around so it's all scrambled, where the short-term is in the long-term area and vice versa. But as you get older, that bleeds through, and so that's why a lot of the third generations are no longer being used because they're all doing top secret classified stuff. They don't want them all remember what they're doing. Basically, what happens once the filtering program, the memories start filtering through, the suicide alters are triggered. And I've got a suicide alter as well. Basically what happens is, for me, it was actually triggered back in June. I was driving home from Connecticut. I live in North Carolina. And the suicide alter came out, and he started steering my car into the highway guardrail. I managed to break out of the trance just in time, but I would have killed myself had I not broke out of the trance. Now here's the thing. Because we have so much alien starseed DNA and genetics, that we are incapable of killing ourselves. The Project Handlers, they never realized that initially because, they always thought, oh, great, more alien DNA, we can be more psychic, we have more superpowers. But at the same time, they're incapable of doing certain things to us, like killing ourselves. So all of a sudden, all of us are starting to get our memories back as we age, but our suicide alters are not getting triggered. So that's kind of where I am right now, along with a lot of other people that are starting to come out that and they actually wanted me to become bipolar so that I would kill myself, and that's kind of their aim, but it's not going to work because I'm not going to allow it to happen. And that's one of the reasons why I'm talking to you and helping others become aware of it, because if you do not become aware of what's going on in your own mind, then chances are the suicide alters could get triggered. Sometimes the programming actually breaks down at a younger age. This actually happened to some of my friends. It's kind of funny. I mean, I have a lot of friends that they find me on the internet, and we become really good friends. And then I find out that the reason why we feel such a close tie with each other is because we were actually involved in the same kind of projects. I should probably explain about that, Adrian. About Nathan, I'll go ahead and say his name. Mm-hmm. I guess I have time to talk about a little bit, just briefly about Nathan. Back in 2005, I had no awareness of anything about super soldiers or anything like that, even like aliens and mind control. I had a friend named Nathan, and he was very, very psychic, just like you, Adrian, probably more so. He had telekinesis, and he had these superhuman strength. And I started doing some investigation and all this, and and that's when I came across Andy Perot's story. And Andy Perot was another one of these super soldiers who came forward to talk about his story. He's currently sitting in the New Jersey prison for trying to break out of his programming. But I pieced all the dots together, and I realized Nathan was also one of these super soldiers, and I tried deprogramming him, and that's when Nathan, he tried destroying, I think he said he destroyed 3,400 planets. He said because I don't know if he could be bullshitting me, but, he said he destroyed some of the handlers and destroyed some of the Gray's computers, and I guess he was rebelling, basically. They eventually captured him, and I never figured out what happened to him because he went missing, but I was finally able to locate him. So tonight I'm going to announce the first time ever whereabouts Nathan is. He he is on the moon base, 45-9er 86457. Okay. So now that I announced it, they'll probably move him, but it doesn't matter. I'll find him. I'll find his new location. So Nathan is on the moon base. He's stuck in a trip chair all day. He's being tortured. He's not getting fed enough. He gets fed once a day. They basically torture him by basically busting up his fingers. Yeah, he's not a very happy situation for Nathan.
You feel like, James, that everybody has an alter?
Well, alters, in some regards, like if you have a nickname, okay, that's really an alter in some regards. But when I refer to alters with me, I am talking about something that's been trauma-based programming, where you've actually been tortured and exposed to, like I said, needles, or it could be. It could be something so traumatic. It could be like sexual abuse, Satanism, satanic rituals. A lot of times, SRA is involved in the same. Have a lot of altars. So, yeah, we all could have an altar, like a nickname, but this is like the really severe form of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. When they send me out on these missions, I'm basically I'm in a mind control. I'm like the team unit, okay? I can either go on a solo mission by myself, or I could have maybe, say, 12 guys with me, or sometimes women. Usually the women are kept back at the base where they do, remote viewing, and they give us orders telepathically. They give us orders. So when I'm in my alter state, although I have, I wouldn't say necessarily my abilities are super strength. Supposedly I'm 4 times stronger in the alter state, but my abilities more have to do with mind controlling people. I can actually, when I'm sitting on a mission, I can tell somebody, I can go into their mind and tell them not to shoot or to stand down their gun. So it makes it kind of efficient, when we're trying to do some kind of espionage work or something. It's easy in, easy out. But before I start jumping ahead of that, I wanted to talk about the next generation, which is the 4th gen. So around the mid-1980s, they started creating 4th generation super soldiers. These were heavily involved with nanotechnology and cybernetics. They would have metal chest plates, computers implanted into their brain. That's what happened to Nathan and myself. I also supposedly I have metal bones. They would have reinforcements of their legs or new body parts such as artificial hearts. And eventually around the late 80s, they actually developed a method to change out body parts that were damaged in battle. Like if your hand got beaten up somehow, they could just cut it off and put a new clone arm on there. So yeah, they've had this technology for a long time. At least since 1980, cloning technology. So there is no reason why amputees need to be, having the prosthetics industry should be put out of business right now, but the government refuses to release the technology because they want to use it for their black projects, and it's pretty disgusting, really. But
I was talking to my father, Roy, and he was telling me about a project that I was talking about. You said you didn't have no information about that, but he was talking about the project called Enoch, and Roy wanted to talk to you more about that before we run out too much time. So,
are we running out of time?
I just wanted to share with you, as we go closer to 2012, I'm sure a lot of people out there, our callers, our listeners, feel that, there's some kind of conspiracy going on, and that these groups that are controlling what's going on around the world. But under this Project Enoch, these groups, what they plan on doing is they want to completely wipe out any kind of Christianity, so that they can control the food source, control the money, control the whole banking system, so that we can go to a one world order.
Yeah, that's right, under the New World Order. And my role in all this is actually that they wanted to have a group of genetically enhanced soldiers to help enforce it, and also to basically help annihilate the American military, so there would be no chance of it. So basically what the idea was is that we would all be activated, us super soldiers, and we would fight against the American people and alter state. And I hate to admit that, but they've actually put me in, they have this total recall chair where it's just like in the movie Total Recall, if you've ever seen that, where you can get plugged into this chair. It's like virtual reality. It's alien technology. I believe they got it from the Syrians. And you are tortured, and you are put through training exercises. You could, like for me, that's how they taught me how to use all these weapons. They taught us how to speak supposedly I speak 15, 20 different languages and alters. And I can't say I remember anything about the trip chair. However, I've had readings done on me. And apparently one time when I was in the trip chair, like in one scenario, I was sent into an underground prison complex. There was children in there. I rescued the children, and my mission objectives were to take them out of the prison and execute them. And that's what I did in this virtual reality training scenario. So, they trained me how to use machine guns and everything. So it's like, the thing is, it's like, how could you be so cold-blooded doing that? And the thing is that we are so traumatized, and a lot of times we're often drugged when we go on these missions, that, and plus we're also given the orders. Basically, we're told that if we do not follow the mission orders, we are killed, okay? And when I'm even in alter state and I'm with my super soldier team, I even tell them that they're going to be killed if they do not follow orders. So there is no room for anybody to break out of their programming. And if they do make a mistake, they're put back in the trip chair and tortured. They're able to go into your mind. They can read your thoughts and put it on a projection screen. That's how advanced the technology is. And they can look at your worst.
Underground lines?
What's that?
I said this has a lot to do with the underground prison.
Yeah, in this underground prison, it was basically a virtual reality training scenario that I was put through.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've actually done some missions, and I can talk a little bit about that.
I've heard, James, I wanted to share, I've heard stories that in the Denver International Airport that there's an underground prison in which
you're right.
People don't know about, but it was built, for that reason as we get closer to 2012.
Well, Denver was supposed to be the headquarters of the New World Order, and I think a lot of it had to do with the pole ship. I guess the elites figured Denver was the safest place in the United States if there ever was a pole ship. But I don't see martial law in this country. I do not see a New World Order. I think it's already dead. I think what we're going to see is we're going to start seeing all these secrets are going to start flooding out. I'm just the beginning of it, okay? But we're going to see not only just the Super Soldier Project, we're going to hear the truth about aliens and all this advanced technology the government is suppressing. And these Satanists who've been running our country and our government are not going to have any place to hide. So they're basically, I hate to say it, they're going to have to get with the program too. Either they're going to have to adapt and change, or it's going to be over. It's already over, but they just haven't. It's like what do you do when the losing team they don't want to admit that they lost. Instead of going around and sabotaging all the equipment, what they need to do is just say, okay, we lost. Let's move on to the next game. Okay. All right. So back here around the 1990s, they started creating the 5th generation super soldiers, and these are totally cybernetic and synthetic. They have they have some biological component like human skin or blood, but most of them are bones made of alien metals, and that's what I actually have. And they are so strong they can literally pick up a tank, and they can go into outer space without a breathing mask on. And they are completely robotic. They're totally controlled, and they are the real Terminator. That's the real thing. And I actually have met a 5th generation super soldier, and what is so bizarre is that the dude looks a spitting image of me. I think we're genetically linked, but it's really bizarre. Anyway, so I was, like I said, I was born a 3rd gen, and I was augmented into a 4th gen super soldier. But I also have like a layer under my skin which cannot be cut. If I was cut, I would bleed. But underneath that layer, there's another layer which is so strong that bullets can't penetrate it, knives can't go in. So I'm bulletproof. But I was designed in such a way so that I would bleed, and people wouldn't, realize what's going on. And I've also got an implant. This is what I want to talk to you, Adrian. I had someone scan me, and it's called, the implant is called PVS1-22002, and according to Remote Viewer, it stands for 2002 version 22, unit 1. It's behind my left eye, and it's actually connected through a vein, which pumps drugs into my pineal gland. Okay, this vein is actually directed into my pineal gland, and it's turning off my psychic abilities. The serial number on this implant is PS995-897, and get this, it's made by Braun Incorporated. Braun, I don't know if it's the same company that produces like coffee and teapots, the German manufacturer, but I don't know. So I guess the thing is I'm trying to get that thing deactivated. So Adrian, if you want to help me out with that, give it a shot. All right. I don't know if there's a code. I guess there is a code. I don't know. I don't know how it works, but I just know that I'm always tired and sick all the time. I get daily. Well, I used to get like injections like 5 times a day, but now it's like every other day. I have autoimmune problems, anxiety, slurred speech. I zone out a lot, forgetful. So I got all these problems, classic with dissociation. But the good news is with my device that I built that I'm reversing that. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. So I'm almost there. When I was younger, most of my job is mostly to do lab work. I like psychic assassinations. Like I said, in 2006, they recruited me for recon work. And what's kind of funny about this is around the time they recruited me in 2006, I actually bought a North Face backpack that had the word recon on it. And it was like my handlers were playing a joke on me. I was, like I said, I refused to sign the paperwork, so they forged my signature. So I didn't even want to do any of this, but they forced me into it anyway, and then they just, and I bought a recon backpack. So, but I am basically the guy involved in the cleanup crew. I do exterminations. There was a mission I did in Iraq. In 2006, I was sent back, and I did time travel. I was sent back to 2004, where there was a holdup. I don't know all the exact details, but apparently what happened was that during World War II, the Japanese thought the United States government was experimenting with some kind of alien technology in Pearl Harbor. So that's the reason why they bombed Pearl Harbor. But the truth of the reality is it was actually in Iraq. Back then it was British controlled, so the United States and Britain are closely allied with each other. They share each other's information. So what happened is that in 2004, I don't know who it was, but the local population got a hold of this alien artifact or technology, and I was sent in to exterminate them. And during that particular mission, I supposedly I killed about 50 people over there, and I have vague memories of actually stabbing people. I see blood on the ground. So I mean, this is all an alter state. I mean, I have like the classic doctor was a Dr. Jekyll Hyde mentality, you know, where I'm if you ever met me in person, I'm a very kind, loving person, but in alter state.
Videos on YouTube that people can check out too.
Yeah, I have a video blog. You can go see more about my story. It's Supreme 600 on YouTube. My name is James Rink, so you can even search that up. So I'm pretty easy to find. And I got lots of videos. You can learn all about what happened to me and Nathan and some of the other missions I've gone on.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I don't know how many altars I have. Usually, yeah.
We're running out of time, so we're going to get to some callers so they can ask questions.
Alrighty, that's fine to me. Let's do it.
So let's go with the first caller from the 760 area. Please state your name, where you're from.
Hello?
Hi there.
Hello? Oh, hi. How are you?
I'm good. Do you have a question?
Hi. James, what's your last name? I was trying to look you up.
Last name is Rink, like skating rink, R-I-N-K.
Oh, okay. James Rink. Okay, my question is, you say that you time travel and that you do mind control?
Yes, in alter state. I don't think I have any memories of it, but I've talked to many different psychics and clairvoyants, and supposedly I have been involved in Montauk 2.0, which is the newer Montauk version. I've also been down I've been down the Stargates. So, and I'm also supposedly in the future, I'm like the director of the Time Travel Institute. So, I don't know if I'm really allowed to give much more information than that out.
And so you don't remember doing any time travel? Is that what you said?
I have vague memories of being, yeah. I have some flashes of memories of actually being at 2178. Oops. I guess I go ahead and tell you, yeah, that's basically where I supposedly, I'm like bilocating into the past. And that's another thing too, it's like,
time travel past 2012, do you see what's going on, or?
Well, like I said, I was talking about that earlier. I see the cabal capitulating, and I see prosperity being released to the public. I see free energy technologies being released. I see anti-gravity, teleportation is going to come out. You won't have to drive the car anymore. Everybody have anti-gravity scooters. You don't even need to have roads. So, I mean, it's going to be, I wouldn't say it's going to be a utopia, but it's going to be a lot better place.
So, in essence, the world's not going to blow up and we're all gone and new people come in.
Well, yeah, see, I really can't say for certain because, I mean, some timelines have actually shown like a pole shift. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But I do know this, if it does happen, the ETs will evacuate the population, so there's nothing to fear or be worried about. We're going to live in exciting times. There's a lot of good things going to happen. So, yeah.
That's really interesting. And then as far as the mind control, you're able to make people do things without them being conscious that they're doing it?
In my alter state, I am. I'm highly telepathic. Remember, I have an implant pumping drugs into my pineal gland. When that's turned off, I'm like so psychic that I can teleport, I can bilocate, meaning be in two places at the same time. I can be right here, right now, and I can also be on the moon base right now. I'm supposedly on station as head of security. I can't say which moon base, but I've been on Mars. They say I can trilocate, meaning, or even more than that, meaning. So, yeah.
So are you able to do that now? Like if I asked you a question, you'd be able to see?
If I meditate, I might be able to get some things filtered through, but it's difficult. And that's why I started this company. You can go there. And I'm selling torsion field generators, which can help you tap into that consciousness field energy so that you can do that. you can tell your pineal gland to increase, or in my case, I can tell the drugs to become basically inert, and that's what I've been doing. So you can be super psychic just like Adrian, and I guess myself too, but it does take some work.
So now you can't control then when you turn it on and turn it off, like you're saying in my altered state. You can't control it. You can't just go into your altered state.
Sometimes some things do bleed through. For me, the way I'm activated is, like I said, I have an implant that can basically activate me remotely. Or what they do is I get a phone call, and I pick it up. I don't hear anything, and 5 minutes later, I get a bloody nose.
Usually you're being controlled. It's not for you to get into an altered state. Someone else is controlling whether you go into an altered state?
Yes.
All right, that's what I want.
I can't, eventually when I get all my memories come back, I'll be able to name names and say who's doing what, but right now I'm not there yet. I guess, does that answer your question?
That answers it really well. So you can't just go into a bank and make the teller hand you $10,000 for a blank piece of paper, right?
Well,
that's
maybe in altered state I could, yeah.
In altered state,
I've actually, there's a mission that I actually went on where what they would do is they would bring me along. Like say they wanted to get somebody to sign a contract a certain way. They would bring me along. I would be dressed in civilian clothing, and I would mind control them to sign this or sign that. Or I may be just there as an observer to telepath and read their mind to see what their intentions are.
That's wild. That is.
Okay, does anybody else have any more questions for me?
Let's go with the caller from the 512 area. You're on there.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
You have a question for James tonight?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering, can you, I don't know, do a past life reading?
Have I done one on me?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like I said, my name is James Rink, and my last initial is R. I was also another famous James R. I was King James the Fourth of Scotland and the First of England, who was also James R, which stands for James Rex. So I've had a lot of famous lives. Of course, I had some lives where it wasn't as famous, but I'm still trying to find my spiritual path on this planet, and I'm still searching. So I'm planning on doing the same thing with Project Monarch and the Super Soldier Project. I'm going to be the guy who helps bring it all down. Well, I'm not going to say bring it down. I'm going to say integrate it in a new way so that it can benefit all people.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Because these technologies could heal people instead of being used against us as like weapons. Because we're going to a phase of humanity where we won't have to have war anymore. We won't need to have soldiers. We will need to have peacemakers.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
We're not going to go to any more callers now. We're going to go ahead and let James complete what he was talking about tonight because we're getting really close to the end of our show. Go ahead, James.
Okay. How much more time do we have?
We only have 4 minutes left. One question, James. We all hear that we all have a twin out there. Would you say that the government or these people who make these clones, there are other people that have clones? Would you say?
Yeah. I don't know how many people the government has cloned, but I know that I've been cloned. And when I'm actually away on some of these missions, they put a clone in my place, and they actually they extract the memories from the clone after they scramble my mind and put the memories back in me so that I don't remember any missing time. So yeah, and I've actually seen my clone. So this isn't just psychic readings. When I was remote viewing myself, I seen myself my clone was experimented on or injected. So anyway. Like I said, go check YouTube out. My name is James Rink, R-I-N-K. You can find out or go to Supreme 600 on YouTube. So I guess that's about it. I mean, we certainly covered the...
Thank you, James. You did a wonderful job tonight with all the information. Yeah. I hope that our callers and our listeners enjoyed everything that you talked about. You know, a lot of things that are going on, especially in Hollywood, you know, with the movies like The Matrix, all these other movies. I mean, you've brought that into a different new reality that, you know, we should have some food for thought, you know, that this is, you know, something
I've actually had a psychic reading. Somebody told me that Steven Spielberg was going to be making this film. So if he's hearing the show tonight, give me a call. It's not that hard to find my phone number. Just go on the website. Anyway, I guess that's it.
Thank you again for being on our show. And I want to thank all our callers and listeners for joining our show tonight. And we'd want everybody to come back this Sunday night and join our show again. We bid everybody a good night, and we'll step back into the Matrix again another night. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.